My name is Luke Vandermillen. I'm with the PlanFees team here, and today we're really excited to bring you a brand new offering from PlanFees. That's the only advisor service and fee benchmarking report in the industry called PlanFees Prism365. And so with the Prism 365 report that we've rolled out, what we're doing is we're allowing advisors to tell a compelling story about the core services that they offer to their clients. So the Prism 365 report takes a look at 5 key areas, looking at investment due diligence, RFP and annual benchmarking, fiduciary governance and fiduciary process, employee engagement, so financial wellness and employee education, and then lastly, the fees that are associated with all of those areas. And really the inputs for the report are incredibly easy to use. And actually, let me pull up the site now. So what you see on your screen is the actual site for PlanFees. This is how you create the Prism 365 report. And I'll just show you how easy it really is. It can be created in just a couple minutes. So all an advisor has to do is input their plan name, the asset amount for the plan that they're looking at, and the participant count. And then the first thing that the system is going to do is ask the advisor, what's your current compensation? So the advisor can put their compensation in either a basis point or a flat dollar amount. They can choose either or. The advisor can also add in any outside 338 fees that go on top of that base fee that they input above. And then really simply, the rest of the report input is going into those key areas that I mentioned a minute ago and designating whether the services are part of the base fee, are an additional fee, or they're not offered at all. So you can see here with investment venue selection and monitoring, you can see we can choose part of the base fee, additional, or not offered. And then we'll also choose the frequency of that service, how often it appears. So whether we're meeting with our investment due diligence committee on a quarterly basis, semi-annually, or annually. So as we scroll down here, you can see we have the provider and fee benchmarking. How often are you running live bid RFPs for your different clients? How often are you getting quotes from different record keepers and comparing them to the current pricing? Fiduciary services, how often are you meeting with your plan committee to do, fiduciary training, looking at fiduciary governance, going back to that 404C checklist and making sure everything's in line. And then lastly, what kind of employee engagement services do you offer? So how many education and enrollment days are you currently offering the plan? What's the fee for any sort of additional days that you're offering? Do you offer one-on-one employee education? And then what kind of employee wellness program do you use? Do you use a proprietary program? Do you use a program that's provided by the record keeper? Or do you use a third-party provider like, say, Dave Ramsey SmartValve or something? And then lastly, we have a list of additional value-add services that the advisor can add into their report. So outside of their core services, some other things that they might offer. So that would be things like target date fit analysis, access to ERISA attorneys, any sort of fiduciary vault that they use to store client documents. We have some preset ones here that are available just to click and go, but the advisor can also add their own just by clicking on add your own down here and typing in whatever service that might be proprietary to their advisor firm. Once the advisor has all those inputs input, they'll just hit generate down here. The Prism 365 report is going to generate a universe based on what the advisor put in above. So you can see that this benchmark is looking at plans between $5 and $7.5 million. The current advisor compensation for this plan is 30 basis points. And then the low, average, and high are anywhere between 24 and 39 basis points. So this advisor comes in right between the average and the high. Important note about this data set that we're looking at is that the low represents the 25th percentile of the universe that we're looking at. The average is the 50th percentile, and the high is the 75th. So we're trying to exclude any sort of outliers or anything that's way off the data set. You can be confident that this is truly dependable and verified data that truly represents the low, average, and high of what advisors are charging within the industry for plans of a similar size. So once an advisor's taken a look at that, they can just hit this download Prism 365 report, and it'll pop up right here. And what you get is a really nice and concise 8-page report that's easy to deliver to the plan sponsor. And so you can see here, first page, we have our cover page. You can put your advisory logo on the page. And then the first page of content within the report is going to show the plan sponsor the core services that the advisor is currently offering. And again, whether those are part of the base fee additionally, or how often they appear. So this works as almost a service plan or a value proposition for the advisor to say, you're currently paying me, X amount of dollars to run your plan. Here's what you get for that money, and here's what you can get for an additional fee as well. You can also point the plan sponsor to what kind of data they're looking at. So you can see that they're looking between $5 and $7.5 million plans and looking at a universe of about 1,500 plans. The second page is going to have the value added services that we checked off on the last screen at the very bottom. Any services that you choose not to check just won't appear on this screen. So, advisors don't have to worry about not checking certain things and saying, I don't want it to reflect negatively on my service model. Really, this is just a page to boast about, your white glove service, or, how you're offering better service than competitors outside of that, traditional core service model that we looked at. Next page here is basically just a continuation of that chart we looked at on the last screen. So again, giving a plan sponsor an idea of what's the low, average, and high of advisor compensation for plans of a similar size. And then the report will start breaking out the core services based on those areas that we covered earlier. So you can see here for investment due diligence services, this advisor offers 321 service as part of their base fee. And the advisor can point to their plan sponsor and say 94% of advisors include 321 service as part of their base fee, 5% charge an additional fee, and 2% don't offer it at all. So really what we're doing is going past just that advisor compensation number and taking a real deep dive into the different services. What should the plan sponsor be expecting in terms of services for their plan, and what is kind of the norm for the industry? So one of the differentiators that I've seen so far with working with advisors with this report is things like the frequency of an investment committee meeting. If I'm an advisor for this plan and I'm meeting with this plan on a quarterly basis, one of the first things I'm going to point out is that only 20% of advisors are offering this on a quarterly basis. And so that this advisor is going above and beyond what's the norm for the industry. Continuing on with the output of the report here, under fee benchmarking and fiduciary services, this is where we're going to have our live bid RFP information, our fiduciary process review, how frequently are we meeting with our plan committee. And so you can see here, this is where if you're conducting things like a live bid RFP, this is where you can point and say, hey, most advisors are running this every 3 years to make sure that their fees are in line. And things like making sure that you're doing an annual review of the fiduciary process as well. And then the last page is going to be the employee engagement services section. And again, in just the short time that we've had this report available, and with the advisors that I've worked for, this seems to be the biggest differentiator in advisors who can point to say that they have premium service available for their plan sponsors, particularly with the amount of education days that are offered. So if you're offering more than 4 education days, this is a great look for you as an advisor to say, how hands-on you are with the client. Or if you're using something like a third-party financial wellness engine, it's also a great way to say, hey, most advisors are just using the off-the-shelf record keeper financial wellness pieces, but we're going a little bit above that and using this third party here that we really like. And so there's a lot of different pieces within this report that advisors can pick out and point out to their plan sponsor and say, hey, we offer a premium level of service. Here's some data to back it up. And so if an advisor takes pride in their service model and wants to make sure that they're providing the best level of service that their plan sponsor can receive, then I think this Prism 365 report is crucial to that. And the advisor making sure that, if they say that they offer premium white glove service, and that they're actually doing that and backing it up with data from a third party like PlanFees. So that's really the entire report. What you'll see here is the last page is a disclosure page. You can add in your own proprietary disclosure in there as well on the PlanFees site, so that it automatically imports into every one of your reports. All right, folks. Well, if that's all that we have today, I really appreciate you all taking the time to join us on this webinar. Again, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. You can feel free to reach out to me at Luke V as in Victor, planfees.com. Again, that's Luke V, planfees.com. And I'll also be sending all this follow-up information shortly after our call today. Thanks again, folks, and have a great rest of your day.